Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 20th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Look at that. Now, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, tonight we're going to be looking at grocery shopping for the financially challenged. Now, something to be clear before we get into that, actually, we've got Storm in the background there handling all of our tech. He is our primary moderator, and he's there to make certain that we don't have problem children in the room, because this place, we are really striving to make this a safe place for virtually everybody. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you what to believe in. I will tell you that because of the way the world is working, don't take my word for it. If you haven't utilized these tools, give them a shot. Okay. Now we have LA Moon in the house. She is a moderator that is in here. She keeps the conversations going a lot of the time, keeps an eye out for problem children, and much more importantly and much more appreciated, at least on my part, is she makes sure she stays on top of my health so I don't drop dead while I'm talking to you, although that would be a showstopper in a lot of ways, especially if I get up again, which has been known to happen, by the way. Not on air. Now, we have Simon the Likeable in with the gold. Simon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And Robert White is in with the silver. How's it going, Robert? Hopefully things are turning around and coming back on track properly. And then we have Renee Andrews is in with the bronze. How's it going, Renee? I know things are always hectic around your end of the world. And in right beside her is Rachel Andrews with honorable mention. I tell you, I always get a kick out of watching you two, trying to figure out which one of you is going to get through the door first. I keep picturing this old Abbott and Costello thing. Well, you're both trying to go through the door and you get caught in the door frame. But that tells you how old I am. And I'll clear that up. I'm 61. Now, understand something very important about grocery shopping for the financially challenged. I had a client years ago where her husband had a bonus check of $100,000 and they still could not make ends meet. They were both professionals. So when we are talking about financially challenged, I'm not talking about just those of you that only have a few dollars a month. Okay? Even people with a massive income can make miscalculations. These tools work for everybody. Okay? And I realize so many people go, well, the price of the grocery shopping is insane. And absolutely, I do agree with you. What do we go? Oh, Robert goes, if you did drop dead online, Storm could pop up and let's all go to the lobby scene. Robert, I do agree with LA. That is dark. It's funny, but you got to be twisted sometimes. Oh, there you go. Now, the sad part about it is no matter how much money you've got, as it was put to me one day, a dollar is a dollar is a dollar. Okay, that was by a guy with 960 some odd $1,000 in the bank. He lived on the street. Okay, but he lived on the street by choice. Now, here's the thing. Let's start with the obvious issue. If you're one of these people that watches the flyers for sales, and you go, oh, there's a sale over at that store. So I'm going to drive over there. I'll buy my corn from there. And on the other side of town, they've got another sale where you can get your hamburger for a good price. I'm telling you, you're not saving money. You may be saving money on the grocery bill, but you're cooking it out of your gas and out of the wear and tear on your vehicle. Not to mention the stress levels of driving around the city. So sales are not necessarily the best thing to watch. Keep an eye out for them, absolutely. Okay, but here's a neat little kicker with those sales. Now, I don't have one with me, but some grocery stores will actually give you at the bottom of your grocery list, of the grocery bill, it'll add up all the coupons you used, and it'll say you saved X number of dollars. Now, here's a neat little thing. So before I go any further here, okay, something to keep in mind. You require 2, maybe 3 bank accounts. You require 3 if you've got a business. If you don't, 2 will work quite well. Okay. Yeah, Robert says, the fuel expenses are insane, but they are better now that they have home delivery. Now, here's the thing. The reason you have to have that, I recommend 3 bank accounts. You have a regular operating account. If you've got a business account, use it as well. But private account, have a savings account that does not cost you anything to keep the money sitting there. You're not likely to make a lot of interest on it. It doesn't matter. If it's not costing you money, it'll work. When you use a coupon, keep track of it. Okay? If when you use a coupon, keep track of how much money you're saving per coupon. When you get home, take that money and put it in the actual savings account. Like, I came home from grocery today. I saved a whopping $2.20. I transferred it from my bank account into my savings account. Okay, now I can't tell you what's in the savings account right now, but the reason you do this, most people, when you save money on a coupon, you end up with an extra 50 cents in your pocket, sometimes more. But most people just simply go and say, I've got 50 cents, I can spend that elsewhere. If you spend it elsewhere, you're not saving it. Okay, LA does suggest, if I see less than 3 items in a separate store, I'll simply pass on them or pick them up in the store if I have more to pick up in it. Okay, the neat thing there, like, these are just baseline. Work with them as you will. If you haven't given them a shot, think about it at least, but don't just take my word for it. Now, be careful when you go through the grocery store. I stumbled across this in one myself. I come in, there's a great big orange sign, Campbell soup, sale, $1.20. Now, that's great. Okay, it's a sale. But I happened to notice they had forgotten to take the original price tag down. It was 99 cents. So I went to the grocery manager and I said, can you explain how this works? How is that right? And he said, look, he says, I agree with you. He said, that sign should have been taken down, the original. But he goes, here's the reality. We're not lying. The soup is being sold for $1.20. But he says, we actually sell more soup when it's listed on sale at $1.20 than we do if it's sold at the regular price. But he goes, what you can do, and I can only say this for the store I went into, but it certainly won't hurt to ask. If you see a sale price, if you see something on sale, ask somebody what the original price was. You are absolutely, according to him, and like I said, I can only say this for the one store I was in, but he said, ask to pay the original price. He says they will do it, But he said most people won't ask. Okay, so this is one of those things it's really advisable you watch for. Okay, the other thing, when you're going through a store and it says, hey, we've got kitty litter on 2 for 1. Buy one, get one, and buy one, get one free. Or buy one, get the other 50% off. Now, that's great if you're using the item before it perishes. Now, kitty litter, obviously, grab it. If I see coffee on them for 2 for 1, I'll buy 3 or 4 at 2 for 1 because, well, I drink coffee. But if you're buying something like, for instance, milk is 2 for 1, okay, unless you go through a lot of milk, this is a bad deal because, frankly, you're likely to have it go bad before you finish it. But that's where things can get interesting if you have friends and or family to talk to. Okay, quite often buying a 5-pound bag of potatoes is one price, but buying a 10-pound, much as per pound it's cheaper, it won't do you any good. Okay, because you can't go through the 10-pound in the time before it goes sour. But here's the neat little kicker to it. Talk to your neighbor, okay? And you'll notice I do say communicate with your neighbor. It's an odd idea. It's something becoming less and less viable lately. But talk to your neighbor and pool your money. Go grocery shopping, buy the potatoes together, and split it. Okay, now all of a sudden, let's just say, for instance, 5-pound bag of potatoes is $6. 10-pound is going to buy you 10. Oh, there you go. Ouch. Thin Lizzie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, not a problem there, Thin Lizzie. Hopefully things have been going well for you. The neat part, and I'm looking at this, Robert White goes, not with these boys, I've been buying 6 3-liter bottles of milk a fortnight, which for those of you that are not aware, that means every 2 weeks he's going through 6 3-liter bottles. Yeah, so 18 liters of milk. That's 9 liters every week, or close to 9 quarts, depending on what part of the world you're in. Oh, there you go. Now, I look at Long Life Milk. Operation Shutdown, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I get a kick out of it. I look at Long Life Milk and go, just how much preservative is in that? Now, I will tell you, I tried buying farm fresh milk, and I do recommend it if you can tolerate it. Myself, it's way, way, way too rich. Okay, for me. But the reality of it is this. Okay, when you're looking at shopping, watch the prices. Absolutely, and I'll tell you, if you don't know your math, there's nothing wrong with taking a calculator with you. Okay, you look at, why would I do all the calculations? Well, as I said, $1 is $1 is $1. My dad used to tell me, pay attention to your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. When you're looking at shopping, and again, it boils down to this. Case lot sales can be good, but do not kid yourself. What happens is they put some loss leaders in there where they're a great price. But the other things, more often than not, it goes the other direction. Okay, they up the price a little, bring it down. They up it $2, bring it down $1 and call it a sale. Now, to me, there's just something wrong with this. But that's me. Again, if you pool your money, okay, you can buy bigger quantities. And absolutely, okay, now I'm a convenience shopper in a sense. I don't go running to all the different stores on sale for sale. And since I don't cook, buying bulk or buying dried beans, that sort of thing, if you know how to work with them, buying dried beans, they keep forever. Okay, dried ones do. Canned goods, there's a little bit of an issue around. Okay, but the nice, Robert goes, used to have milk farmer uncles and was getting fresh milk from the cow, milk with the cream floating on the top. Yeah, for me, I had access to that, but the cream on the milk made the milk way too rich for my system to handle. Blue Cruz, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I will tell you, if you've got local farmers, here's the thing people forget. Let's go to the grocery store, and you'll love this one, guys. I was in a grocery store one day, and I got talking to a young woman there, and she goes, hunting should be banned. I went, why? She goes, people should not be allowed to kill animals. They should go to the grocery store and buy all their meat from grocery stores where no animals are killed. I am a firm believer that yes, sometimes you'll pay a little more at a farmer's market or straight from the farm than you do in the grocery store. But understand, and I talked to a farmer one day. I talked to actually a grocery manager one day, and what he told me was scary. He said the eggs you're getting in the grocery store, again, do not take my word for this. Do your research. I really should look into getting a t-shirt like that or a coffee cup, take your pick. But what he said was the eggs you're getting in the grocery store quite often have been sitting in a soaker vat for upwards of a month or longer. Okay, which if you buy farm fresh, they will be better for you. That's the one area where I look at it going, you may end up paying a little more direct from the farm, but you're keeping the farmer on the market. And here's the kicker: we don't have food from the farmers. I don't care if you go to the grocery store. Farmers don't have food. We don't have any in the grocery store. Bulk buying is LA goes trout, bass, frogs, yummers. I never did go frog fishing. I used to fish off the shore. Well, off the docks. Because I grew up on Vancouver Island. But when you're looking at shopping, okay, and I'm just sticking to the food, there's all sorts of other things that go with this. Do understand, look at your meat. Okay, now, you can buy the great big roasts. Check the dollar value of them. Okay, absolutely check the dollar value. Because sometimes you'll find roasts on for less than ground beef. Okay, and the thing is, if you've got a meat grinder, this is great. I happen to have one. Okay, but you can still take a roast and cut it up yourself into chunks, turn it into stew. Now, I love the way they do it. This is hamburger, this is stewing meat, this is steak. It's all beef. Watch your prices. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. One of the Thin Lizzie's going, I miss good farmers markets back home. I would can and dry foods. I'm not sure what the 25 boils down to, but and I've got it dehydrated here, so I use it regularly. Okay. I used to can, but of course, after I ended up with the stroke, that made all kinds of things complicated. But when you're looking at buying bulk, like it's great if you look at it, you buy a bag of onion, 3 pounds of onions for $5. That's great. Oh, you can get 50 pounds of onion for $20. That's a fantastic idea until you realize you're not going through 50 pounds of onion. Okay. LA goes, I live in the desert now and can't grow to save my life. It annoys me. Here's a neat thing. LA, I just had a reading with it. I just did a business consultation with a young lass that is looking into pocket farms. Okay, as in, your patio farms in the house, on the deck. I will talk to her and see what she can suggest about, because she's opening her business to help people in all environments with that in mind. Okay, and this is one of the things I do tell people. I've got businesses all around the world that I consult for, and the way I figure it, if I can get some information passed on from one business to another so that we can help each other, absolutely I'll do it. Okay, so that's just where that sits. One of the things we have to remember when you're looking at, and this is another neat little piece. Yeah, no doubt, get them out of the oven. No, LA goes, the heat here just fries plants. Okay, and it does. Desert farming is a pain, but we know there's plants that grow out there. Yeah, I will get in touch with her. I just finished the consultation today. Actually, it threw me right off guard. I wasn't expecting to hear from her. But it's funny. I made the decision 3 days ago. I'm going back into the consulting line. Okay, and I'm going to push it. In 2 days, I've had 3 readings. Now, when you're buying, another example, if you're buying canned tuna, you can buy obviously flake tuna or chunk tuna. Buy chunk tuna. Here's why. If you buy flake tuna, you're getting a staggering amount of water. Okay, you buy chunk tuna, they still cover it in water, but there's not as much room in the can for the water. This is why you buy it. Okay, now I will tell you, some people will say buy fresh fish. I would agree. I don't like the bones. Yeah. Well, that's when I was talking to her there, Lizzie. When I was talking to this entrepreneur, I mentioned to her, you target because we live in a city, small city, but a city, and the number of apartments in today's world is growing astronomically, as compared to the number of little homesteads. Okay, so her market is far better starting off on pocket farms. I will talk to her about it, see what we can figure out. She's just getting things started. She's already got things up and running to a degree, but I will find out. Now, when you're looking at this idea of shopping, if most online, I tell people shop yourself. Not because I figure that you should, not because I've got a problem with technology in this case. Okay, but you still get out, you get to talk to people, which is extremely important and really lacking. Now, I myself will order, when I go to do a big order, I will order online from a store that delivers the groceries right to my doorstep. And the reason for that is not because I like shopping online. It's because I have a problem moving the groceries from the door of my car to my apartment. This way I don't have that problem. But again, talk to your neighbors. Even in an apartment, you can get a better deal if you pool your money and then split the groceries up. You'll get far better deals buying bulk amounts or buying case lots than you will if you're buying individual cans. But again, when you're looking at case lots, take a look. Okay, take a look at the reality of it. If you take a look at the cost of cans, and let's just say, for example, you're looking at buying a case of $30. Okay, if you're paying only $2 a can, a case of 12 for $30 is not as good as $2 a can on their own. And they will sometimes do that. They go, here's a case lot. You can buy a case of this soup for this amount. Problem is, quite often, if you do the math, again, I'm only talking basic math, check the cost of the individual can and multiply it to find out how much it's costing you per can, or more to the point, divide it. Take the cost of the case, divide it by the number of cans to check the price you're paying per can. Do not take it for granted. Do not take it for granted that just because it says case lot, that it's going to be a better price. They count on you looking at case lot sale, and they figure you're going to go in and grab case after case and not think about it. Okay, this is the key to shopping when you're financially challenged. And I'm just looking at this. Yeah, excellent there, Operation. I'm really happy for you because I'm telling you, get to know your neighbors. I am certain most of you are having fun with finances. Yeah, Thin Lizzie goes, plus you feel good working together. Yeah, working together. Working together too. Good energy is contagious. Absolutely it is. Yeah. Iwalks, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Glad to hear from you. Hopefully things are going well on your end. The important factor, and bear in mind, now this calculator, this is how much of a, shall we say, dinosaur I am. This is a solar-powered calculator. I bought it in the early 70s. Okay. Back when I was in school. I've never changed the battery. These silly things, cell phones, you have to replace them every 2 or 3 years. Yeah, they got a calculator involved. But, okay, and this was just something that I picked up, so I take it with me when I require it. Of course, I figured out how to do math in my head a lot of the time. One of the things we got to remember where it comes to shopping, plan first. It is likely in your best interest to work out a meal plan for the week. Now, you may find that a little bit cumbersome. I know from my standpoint, because of the way my diet works, I don't worry too much about planning. Of course, bear in mind, I don't have a palate to work with. But if you plan out what you're going to cook through the week, and remember, absolutely have your snack food, especially if you've got kids. Okay, but if you know you're going to go through a lot of rice will keep on the whole for a very long time. But don't kid yourself. Make sure that you store it in a sealed container. Every now and again, something will go sideways, and the last thing you desire, I'm pretty certain, is for bugs to grow inside the plants. And by the way, bad news, rolled oats, rice, rolled oats and rice and pasta all carry bugs with them. Okay, usually microscopic, you never see them. Okay, but if they sit for too long, you'll find that they do go sour. Okay, now the other thing I have found, and you get to do what you will with this one again, I am no naturopath. I am not a nutritionist. I will tell you this, okay? When you look at food and it says best before, food does not go, there's the date it's best before. Oh, we end the day best before the 20th. Oh, we're at the 21st. It's garbage. That is not how canned food works. But don't kid yourself. You can't keep canned food for years. Okay, dried food you really can pretty much. But, and this is why I say if you have a, matter of fact, that's a great idea. I've got onions sitting out front and a dehydrator. When I get done this stream, I'm going to spend an hour or so, dice them up and get them onto the rack. Okay, that again, there are things you can do to make food last. What I do myself is I'll cook up a slow cooker worth of food, break it into smaller packages, and freeze it. So I do all my shopping in one, or all my cooking at one point. Then all I gotta do is go to the freezer, pull out a meal, thaw it out, and whether you use a microwave, thaw it out in cool water, or leave it on the counter. I don't recommend leaving meat on the counter. That's usually a bad idea. Something else to keep an eye on. Just because they say there's a sale going on, remember, if a sale is coming on, one of the best ways of getting yourself through the door and comfortably, if you will, not many people will line up at the front door of a grocery sale. For some weird reason, you got electronics on sale, there's a lineup out the door. I don't know about you, but I find it very difficult to digest hard drives. No, I've never tried. I did make the mistake of eating the back off of a pen one day when I was a kid. They are not edible and the ink tastes terrible. But where it comes to grocery sales, people don't tend to line up. Yeah, ain't that the case there, Finn? Thin Lizzy goes, I'm so glad I had home ec classes. The sad part is when I was in high school, they had home ec classes, but I had an absolute aversion to cooking. No sense of taste, no sense of space, no sense of timing. The kitchen is not my friend. One of the neat, I'm just checking back to see if I missed something. One of the things is there are ways, and here's a neat little thing for you. Again, I'm no professional cook. What I did find though is if you take hamburger and you mix about a third of a cup of breadcrumbs to a pound of hamburger, you can stretch that hamburger out a little further. And it's certainly not going to hurt you, but it saves you throwing the back end of loaves of bread out. Okay, yes, I know over in England they got something called bread pudding. I tried it myself, not happy. Not a good mix, not for me, but then I won't eat grits either. But you can do the same thing, taking hamburger, and when we're talking ground beef, ground elk, ground pork, ground bison, they're all the same from the standpoint of they are ground. Okay, that reminds me, I gotta look into that. But when you take a look at your meat, if it's ground meat, you can mix stuff in such as dry bread, okay, and you'll love this one. If you've got a dehydrator, get fresh mushrooms and dehydrate them. Now, they will still be a little leathery. I know this because I've done it. But again, yeah, I can't get ground kangaroo up here there, Robert. Somehow we just don't have a lot of them. We do actually have a kangaroo farm up the road here about an hour. But I'm telling you, I go hunting if we go shooting the kangaroos on the kangaroo farm, I'm pretty certain the owners are going to get ticked. This is the thing that people don't learn. Thin Lizzie's just going, my grandma taught me cooking and sewing, crochet, and gardening. Okay. Where are we? This blanket, as a matter of fact, both of these blankets here. Okay, this one and this one, I personally made. I've got another one in the closet that I've got to get finished. But the funny part about it, is these are techniques. We've got to go back to some of the older methods. Technology has now risen to a point where we're in danger. Okay. Most people don't know how to do the basics anymore. When you're looking at shopping, okay, again, when you look at your soaps, take a look at the water content. Because if you're buying this soap, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking I'm going to be washing the dishes in a sink full of water. Do I really require the soap in the water in the bottle of soap I'm buying? Okay. LA's going, my aunt taught me to cook. My mother could sew like a professional, but I learned to cook out of self-survival. Yeah, I was never put in that position, thankfully. But it probably would have done me some good. But when I'm looking at it now, and this is why I've started looking at this side of it, because if you're looking at, buying canned goods, they will keep longer than fresh. In case you hadn't noticed, fresh goods have a bad habit of collapsing. So what I end up doing is I'll buy, like, for instance, a couple of things of celery. Now, celery itself does not keep for a long time. But if I do up a slow cooker of rice and mix it up with various different vegetables, including celery, then I can freeze it and it will keep for a long time. These are just things, and again, the two most wasted commodities in existence, and it has been this way for centuries. Okay, the two most wasted commodities are the wisdom of the seniors and the enthusiasm of the youngsters. And we have Anne Joanne is in the house, followed immediately thereafter by Flubber Lane. How you two doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it is when we start looking and take a look at stretching out the length of time that food will last you. Okay, whether you are making $1 million an hour or $1 an hour, $1, a penny is a penny is a penny. And that's the thing to look at. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot wrong with the way the world is at this point. If you're making $50 an hour and let's say you're bringing in $3,000 a month, but you only require $2,000 a month to run your house. That extra $1,000, way too many people live to the level of their income. This is usually a bad idea. Robert goes, try dehydrating a semi-trailer load of veggies from a wrecked truck. Still can't stand the smell of broccoli. Yeah, and that's just it. There is a limit. Okay, I find trying to, like, for instance, trying to dehydrating onion, the actual pain of the acid in the onion can be problematic. Okay, what you got to realize is everything in moderation. Okay. In all fairness, LA, I've never actually tried eggplant. I know it's supposed to be edible or cookable or something to that effect. But again, take a look at it. If you can freeze it, bear in mind, you know, bear in mind that, and from what I gathered, I don't know how to do it. Apparently, if you're blanching potato, you can freeze it nicely. I don't know how to go about it. I think that it's something to the effect of drop it into boiling water for a minute or two, let it cool, and then freeze it. And so that's about the size of it. If that's the case, I'm going to be looking into it anyway, because it's another way of going, okay, how do I make it last? Now, the reality is, freezing it is great. What have we got? Yeah, Robert goes, eggplant is a desired taste. Yeah, there are some things I cannot eat because of what they taste like. You know, in the restaurant I go to, they've got something called peri peri fries. I have no idea what's on it. What I do know is I'll never order it again. It's probably acquired. But I will tell you, if you're looking at bulk buying, make certain if you're going to buy large amounts that you have the ability to either freeze it or dry it or can it if you're not going to be able to use it. The reason for that is otherwise it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. Okay, so the biggest thing to keep in mind is twofold. One, regardless of how much money you're working with. Where are we? Oh, yeah. LA goes, Storm's mom had a 50-pound bag of onions spotted on the side of the road. There are 100 ways to eat onions. Years ago, when I was still married, my mother-in-law bought 6 zucchini plants, okay, for her garden. Now, I'm telling you, there are a lot of ways of prepping zucchini. Okay, look for the different recipes. I learned how to can zucchini. I learned zucchini loaf. Again, most vegetables can be. As a matter of fact, I've got a recipe that I got from my ex-wife. Well, in all fairness, I got it from my wife at the time. That takes a normal muffin and turns it into a meal by simply adding diced ham, diced onion, and diced cheese to the muffin mix. And of course, here I am talking about this sort of thing going, I really should get back to doing that. I can fill my freezer because for me, a plate of dinner is one thing. But these particular muffins, I can eat 2 of them and I'm done. Okay, I'm not full, but I'm content. Yeah, Thin Lizzy goes, some will cook the onion down and save it to add to things. And this is the thing. Food that tends to break down a little, like onions, for instance, if you freeze them, they'll break and the cell structure will break. Won't damage the onion. But you can add it to soups and fill up your stock right quick like. Again, the same idea. If you're looking for a change where it comes to, instead of just using rice or pasta, cabbage works beautifully as a baseline. Okay, absolutely start taking a look at some of the things that you're working with, at some of the options you've got, some of the recipes that are out there. And come to think of it, that's actually not a bad idea. Bring that back over here. You see me grab my clipboard. Where are we? We're right there. What I just wrote down there, that's my list of things to do. But starting this coming month, starting February, in in positive perspectives, I'm going to start adding a recipe or two that I've worked with. Now, these are likely going to be family recipes. Okay, and that said, it's just a way of taking a look at making your food work a little better. Okay, where you don't have to go through as much. Okay, because the reality is this: there's no saying, I can't be out of money. I can't be out of money. I've still got left. Okay, or I can't be out of money. I've still got my bank card. Yeah. LA goes, I freeze diced onions, carrots, celery, holy trinity of cooking starts nearly everything. Yeah, no doubt. And some of it works like an absolute charm. And what I found is something very simple. When you start looking at what you're doing, I'm not a great cook. I figure if it isn't moving by the end of the cooking process, I probably did it right. Yeah, no doubt, Joanne. That's my problem, is I'm looking at this going, here we are talking about grocery shopping. The trick is this. Work with the food as best you can. But you talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, your friends, if you get along with them. Family, I put if you get along with them. Friends, if they're friends, the odds are you do get along with them. But even doing things like, you've got a car, but Bob 3 doors down, he's got a pickup. Now, I will tell you, a pickup truck will carry more groceries than a car will. Okay, usually. But talk to your friends, put the money aside, and see what you can do about stockpiling. Now, when I talk about stockpiling, understand something. I am not referring to 3 years worth of food. I'm not talking saving for the end of the world. I'm talking about a simple 2 to 3 month backlog of food in your pantry, so you don't have to worry about it when you have a lean period. Okay, very important from that standpoint. I will tell you, things like soups will congeal a lot more, but that's not a big problem. Okay, because you're adding water anyway. But it's very important that you realize now something about bread. Okay, if you can get a big loaf of bread, instead of trying to eat the whole thing, a neat little trick for making that work. If you've got a large loaf, cut the and freeze it as half loaves. That way you're only pulling out one half of the loaf at a time. Less chance of it going sour. Again, this is just a way of making certain that you're making the most of the groceries when they come in. And absolutely, if you're finding your food is starting to get a little old, or you look at it and you go, I know I'm not going to be able to use this. I'm absolutely a firm believer that taking food that is still good to the food bank is a great idea. In my opinion, take it to the neighbor. Okay. Everybody and their dog, no matter how much money they have, is going to require food. Okay. Now, there's a lot of things that you can work with, and it really boils down to personal taste. One of the other things to watch for, very important, like I said, if you're going through a store and it says 2 for 1, this is great if you can use it. Okay. Now, 2 for 1 laundry soap is a great deal because guaranteed you're going to need it. Okay. 2 for 1 milk, in most people's cases, you're not going to go through enough. But sometimes it works out well. Even if all you do is you buy the sale and turn one of them over to somebody you like. Okay. Don't turn it over to somebody you don't like. Mind you, in all fairness, you do that, you find that you get along better. The thing we have to remember here, okay, when you're looking at the whole idea of grocery shopping, I know for an absolute fact, because I've seen it, the people with the higher incomes have a tendency of spending to the level of their income. Have you ever noticed yourself? You're going along, everything's going tickety-boo. Then you get a raise, and now all of a sudden, you can't make ends meet. Okay, because people on the whole tend, they really to live to the level of income. Okay, LA, this is great. LA goes, my neighbors and I trade extra foods and services. It's a great thing if you can make it, if you can make it work. We started that during COVID. The thing is, every Christmas, like, if you enjoy cooking, I'll tell you the best gift for anybody, whether it's a friend, a neighbor, whether it's your kids, whether it's Christmas, birthdays, doesn't matter. The one thing everybody appreciates is food. Okay, it's been marketed as a cast off. If you can't buy something, buy an electron, buy a big ticket item, it's not as valuable as buying groceries. I'll tell you, the best thing I found was finding tips from people. And my brother, the best gift I ever got, he bought me a box of groceries. That is something that can never be undervalued. Not in my eyes, anyway. But talk to your neighbors, especially if you got somebody you're constantly going for coffee with. Go grocery shopping with them. Go out for coffee, have your coffee, then go to the grocery store and buy the bigger items. Okay? The reality of it is sometimes having an overload is great. It's great if you can buy 2-for-1, laundry soap. But if it's going to take up 3/4 of your pantry, you might find it overstated. The other thing, and I do this constantly myself, okay, now where it comes to coffee or anything else, when you buy a big can of coffee, okay, coffee keeps beautifully, and many foods do, keeps beautifully in the freezer. But with some of the cans, the lids get brittle. Okay, now I found that Folgers coffee, the plastic container they have, the lids don't get brittle. Okay, what I do is I buy whatever coffee, transfer it into a Folgers can, and put that in the freezer because they don't get brittle and break. Oh, nice. LA goes, the neighbor received a big food delivery during Christmas from their church. They brought the surplus to us and came away with a couple of packages. I had extra chicken. Super trade for all of us. Absolutely, and I will tell you, sad to say, in my experience, that's a rare church. It's a fabulous church, but way too many people, way too many churches leave the hungry hungry. They claim they're taking care of them, but unfortunately, they really don't. But understand something, okay? When we start taking care of each other, taking care of our neighbors, and thereby taking care of ourselves, that camaraderie that can be built in the community is second to none in the way of security. Okay, absolutely. And again, just in short, before I completely run out of time here, in short, when you're buying something, buying condensed or dried soups, anything you have to add water to, don't buy the water if you can avoid it. Okay, if you're buying tuna or canned salmon or whatever, buy chunk because there's less water in the can than there is in the flake. You can always flake your own tuna. Okay, And, things like your roast chicken. I'll tell you, up here in the store I buy from, I can get a fully cooked chicken for less than it cost me to buy a raw one. Now, these are just some of the tools to work with. With this in mind, I've just been informed we're down to the last 5 minutes. So that said, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Really do appreciate it. By the way, yesterday I mentioned I was going to put a book together on chakras. I've got 47 chakras being listed in a book. I wrote the baseline to it today. Now, tomorrow, before I take off, tomorrow we are dealing with autism, a non-medical approach. On Friday, we'll be coming back down and looking at chakras of the home. And yeah, there is a link, and I figured that one out all together. Okay, and I'm adding to it. If you've got an idea, absolutely let me know, and we'll take a look at it. With that in mind, okay, thank you so much, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 9 o'clock p.m. PST. Okay, and from that standpoint, until we talk again, do take care of yourselves and each other.